Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2. That's you, Marcia.
Roadside Attraction, January 12th, 2020. Some dance to forget.
Attention tourists and travelers, you are approaching the event horizon at Roadside Attraction Live. It is not known what is in the black hole on the other side of this horizon because nothing ever escapes. So there are no stories and songs, no history, no folklore, no native dances. Not even light can move. So you've got to assume that's a pressure-packed place, just cringing from things forgotten and heavy with things yet to forget. It's probably a lot like being around Washington, D.C. At the quantum level, it is necessary to have a witness, an observer for things to become real. There are no witnesses in D.C. So we can conclude in this instant that all things are possible and nothing is real. Oddly enough, I find that sort of comforting. I am the voice of the 2,000-pound groundhog, the big attraction. If you need a guide, you're in luck. Here comes one now. He's Mark Jeffers.
All right. Come in, come with, come on, come along. Now, if you feel your memory starting to fade away, don't panic. Most of what you remember is just stuff you've imagined, and you don't need it anyway now that you've got Google. Now, please note there are containers provided throughout the Roadside Attraction where you can discard your disappointments, eject your expectations, and renounce your personal reality. No need to be tidy either. Feel free to make a mess. Litter the landscape with art and other ambitions to provide scholars in the future with mind games to puzzle upon. Well, all right then. Let's get started. Here's Mini Bingo.
Miss your baby rolling in your arms. I lay down last night, Lord, I could not take my rest. I lay down last night, Lord, I could not take my rest. My mind was wandering like the wild geese in the west. The sun will shine on my back door someday. The sun will shine on my back door someday. March winds will blow all my troubles away. Wish I was a headlight on a northbound train. Wish I was a headlight on a northbound train. Well, I shine my light through the cold Colorado rain. Well, I know you rider gonna miss me when I'm gone. Well, I know you rider gonna miss me when I'm gone. Gonna miss your baby rolling in your arms. I'm gonna miss your baby rolling in your arms.
Mini bingo, everybody. Matt Bianski.
Thank you. Hey, Mark.
Lead singer of Mini Bingo. Actually, tonight, only singer, Mini Bingo. You want to introduce us to the rest of your band?
All right, so tonight we got Marcia on the electric drum kit
Yeah.
and Windsor Knotts on the 5-string bass.
Oh, yeah.
And Red the Animal Bumgardner on electric guitar.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. How about a little traveling music?
You're listening to Roadside Attraction Live. We're very near the end of the holiday music season, but there is one more seasonal song to suffer through. This one is from Bob Dylan, celebrating January 30th as Clothesline Day. Here's Dimmy Jean to put an end to the holiday music season.
Hi, y'all know me. I'm Dimmy Jean. This is the end of the holiday music season. After a while, they took out the clothes. Nobody said very much. Just some old wild shirts and a couple pairs of pants, which nobody really wanted to touch. Mama come in and picked up a book, and Papa asked her what it was. Someone else asked, what do you care? Papa said, well, just because. Then we started to take out the clothes and hang them on the line. It was January the 30th, and everybody's feeling fine. Very next day, everybody got up to see if the clothes were dry. Dogs were barking, neighbor passed. Mama, of course, she said hi. Have you heard the news? He said with a grin. The vice president's gone mad. Where? Downtown. When? Last night. Gee, that's too bad. Well, there's nothing we can do about it, said the neighbor. Just something we're going to have to forget. Yes, I guess so, said Mom. And she asked me if the clothes were still wet. I reached up, touched my shirt. My neighbor said, those clothes yours? I said, some of them, not all of them. He said, you always help out around here with the chores? I said, sometimes, not all the time. My neighbor, then he blew his nose. Just then Papa yelled outside, Mama wants you to come in the house and bring them clothes. I just do what I'm told. So I did, of course, and Mama met me, and then we went inside and shut all the doors.
Timmy Jean Products is now marketing clothesline licorice ropes. They are mostly meat product, which... hang on. Try that again. Timmy Jean Products is now marketing clothesline licorice ropes. They are a mostly meat product and should not be used as an actual clothesline rope. Caution, 50-foot strands of strawberry-flavored meat may pose a choking hazard for adults, especially during sporting events. Working from both ends of a 50-foot clothesline licorice rope to reach a kiss in the middle may result in blood sugar spikes, indigestion, bloating, belching gas, and other counter-to-kiss consequences. Timmy Jean Products is not responsible.
All right. Well, all right. So, among other things, we've entered a new decade, and that really calls for some sort of summary slogan. I think it was Devo who said, the 80s, we're for it. And then the decade dawned. Now, when the 80s rolled into the 90s, the attitude was just do it. The next time the decade turned, the century too, as did the millennium, and then came a truckload of technology, and the burning thought of the times was, can you hear me now? Good. Now, 10 years later, we should have said, look out, here come the teen years. But instead, we started saying LOL and LMAO and BFF and WTF and OMG. There didn't seem to be a single overriding sentiment for the teen year times. There was nothing we could all agree on. But I think there is now. I think there's a feeling we all share, an outlook we agree on, a slogan fit for the times, no matter which side of whatever question you find yourself on. So I'm going to shout it out, and then let's all shout it out together. Now, it goes like this. Oh, no. Are you out of your fucking mind? Okay, everyone.
Oh, no!
Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah, I think that about sums it all up. And here's Sharon Lane.
That's a wonderful thing to follow, isn't it? When you walk through the garden, you better watch your back. Well, I beg your pardon. Stay on the straight and narrow path. Well, if you want to walk with Jesus, He's gonna save your soul. Oh, you gotta keep the devil way down in the hole. Yeah. He's got the fire and the fury at his command. Well, you don't have to worry if you take Jesus by the hand. Oh, we'll all be safe from Satan when the thunder rolls. Well, you gotta help me, please. You gotta help me, please. Keep the devil in the hole. Yeah. Sing about Jesus' mighty soul. Well, they'll shoot you with their and keep you close to the Lord. Don't pay heed to temptation, for his hands are cold. Oh, yes, they're cold. Oh, won't you help me, please? You gotta help me, please. Keep the devil in the hole. Way down in the hole. Way down in the hole. Way down in the hole. Way down. Way down. Way down in the hole. You gotta help me, please. Keep the devil in the hole.
Yeah. Sharon Lane, everybody.
Thank you. I have 15 more gigs to do, so I'm going to have to run out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon. Now, Windsor, you were trying to tell me before the show you've never played bass, and you were awesome. You're awesome at it. See, Marcia's usually our bass player, but tonight he's doing drums, so everybody's switching up, having fun. It's awesome. All right. Now, thanks again to Sharon Lane, and later on, Sharon will be bringing down the house at the Cosmopolitan Hotel, just down the street from the Roadside attraction. You should catch her there. Now, meanwhile, let's step out of the light for a minute to hear from our poet friend, Bill Mooney.
Oh, well, I'll bend over. Sharon, you look real good in boots.
All right.
I'm telling you. My. Well,
Let me just for that, let me fix your microphone.
all right.
Well, maybe.
No. Is it this twisty thing
It's
here?
not.
You can tip it up.
Maybe I'll just do it that way.
How's that feel, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Oh, sure. Well, the poem I'm going to try to do tonight is one I tried to do with Fair and Square at Pete Seeger's 90th birthday party, and I just totally blew it. And I hope I don't blow it again. This is the first time I've tried to do it since then. And how many years has that been? Been a while. So anyway, I think it's called Sisters and Brothers. What's so wrong with the working man, the working woman with rough, cracked hands? How can the workers make a stand? They fight our wars. They have no land. So what's so wrong with the working man? Foreclosures, wage cuts, stolen pension plans, homeless, no health care, lied to and cheated by the corporate man. So, how can the working man make his stand? In union with sisters and brothers across the land, that's how the working man can make his stand. So, there's nothing wrong with the working man. Stand, hold hands, be a sister, be a brother, be a woman, be a man. There's nothing wrong with the working man. Thank you.
RoadsideAttractionLive.com is an unwinding illustration of multiple personality disorder that's deliberate. Gurdjieff said that each day.
Started to start over.
RoadsideAttractionLive.com is an unwinding illustration of multiple personality disorder that's deliberate. Gurdjieff said that each of us has many personalities who all claim to be I. The trick is to see it, or hear it in this case.
Another of the behaviors that gained popularity in the new millennium is multitasking, doing more than one thing at the same time. Now, back in the old century, people would say focus, pay attention. But, that's just mean. Since we're all multiple personalities, it only makes sense to multitask, right? Let's do more stuff.
And cut.
Ah, the joys of editing.
Didn't we just do this? Okay, go for it.
You're listening to Roadside Attraction, recorded live at Yellow Cab Tavern in Dayton, Ohio. Word got out that Dayton is the most affordable city in America, so a whole bunch of Eastern Europeans decided to come here. It has really expanded our palates, and there are hints of different thinking and enchanting rhythms escaping into our mainstream culture. It's nice. Welcome to Dayton.
Now, our theme this week is about forgetting, but we never stick to a format. We're in the next stage already, right? So, I saw a wind blowing through a stand of grass. It was a gusty wind, and the grass whipped from side to side, and I thought how much I felt like that sometimes. And then a voice said to me, "Don't be the grass, be the wind." And I said, yeah, I like that. Now let's see where the next set of ideas will send us. Here's Michelle.
Hey. Yeah, no one commented on my awesome boots. It's probably the scathing look they would get. The promise of getting it shoved up there. I'm kidding. No, I wouldn't do that, no. I have an angry poem to read instead. This is called Womb Worth. Are you going to have any babies? This woman I met asked me with a smile. I grimace and vigorously shake my head no. This seemingly innocent question makes me cringe. I want to respond, but then things could quickly get heated, like arguing over feminist ideals while purchasing soil at a... Anyways, I don't have kids, at least none that I'm aware of. No, I don't want to talk about it. Whether or not my womb is in use has nothing to do with my worth. I don't owe you grandkids an explanation, validation as a mother. I hear it's the hardest job, and I commend you for that sacrifice. If I could have been born a man, that would have been swell. No flippant bathroom conversations, no bloody monthly visitations, and no baby talk, no possibility of expelling another human into the world. I got enough to worry about. I can barely keep track of my phone and keys. You know that's why infants scream, so you can't just conveniently misplace them. 99% of the time, it's dissatisfied parents attempting to sway my opinion, convince me how great kids are. Endless expenses and sticky hands, the vacant, dead look in their eyes, smile never quite reaching anymore.
sellout, everybody. Thank you. Well, next up, we got Thaddeus Williams. Are you ready, Thad? Okay.
No one has commented on my camo Crocs. Thank you. You swear that your life is a lush paradise of roses and daisies and bees. The sun shining down, not a cloud to be found. The fruit's hanging ripe on the trees. But deep down inside, there's a world that you hide. The dead walk around wild and free. Oh, the dead walk around wild and free. You don your crown for everyone who's around. You polish your buttons and shoes. Straighten up your bow tie, wipe the sleep from your eye. Reflection, it brings you great news. The birds sing a song, and when you tag along, all you can sing are the blues. Oh, all you can sing are the blues. Another drop in the pail, another hole in the sack, another straw on the camel's back. Your pants are on fire and the levee is cracked. On fire and the levee is cracked. You stand knee high as the water flows by. The torrent is raging, it seems. You pretend to float in your styrofoam boat, oh, but the water leaks through at the seams. And next thing you know, it is up to your head. Sooner or later you're dead. Oh, sooner or later you're dead. Another drop in the pail, another hole in the sack, another straw on the camel's back. Pants are on fire and the levee is cracked. On fire and the levee is cracked. You lie to yourself and to everyone else of roses and daisies and bees. Swear the sun's shining down, not a cloud to be found. Oh, and the fruit's hanging ripe on the trees. Oh, the fruit, it is rotten, it seems. Thank you.
Oh. Thaddeus, is that a new one?
That is a new song.
What's it called?
is called Pants Are on Fire.
Pants Are on Fire. That's a funny name for such a pretty song, man. That was
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
So you got one more for us. Stored up.
Yeah, I got one more for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it. It's called In the Flame and in the Fire. I don't really care a thing about it, whether your eyes are green or blue. I don't really care a thing about it. What else am I supposed to do? See you in the fire. I see you in the flame of what's to come. I see you when I'm tired. I see you in everything under the sun. I don't really care a thing about it, whether your sky is gray or blue. I don't really care a thing about it. Oh, why you do the things you do. I see you in the fire. I see you in the flame of what's to come. I see you when I'm tired. I see you in everything under the sun. So long, my friend, we've come to the bitter end. So long, my friend, the end is come tonight. Oh. So long, my friend, we've come to the bitter end. I know I don't want to fight, but I see the fire in your eyes, and I know the end is come. I see you in the fire. I see you in the flames of what's to come. I see you when I'm tired. I see you in everything. In the flame, in the fire. When I'm tired, in the flame, in the fire. In the flame, in the fire, oh yeah. I don't really care a thing about it. Thank you, Lord.
Oh, Dad. All right, folks, we will end the show tonight with a chapter from Scott Millsop's novel in progress, The Last Summer Ball at the Cosmos. Now, you can find links to previous chapters at roadsideattractionlive.com.
Connie Park touches her hair at a table for two at the rotating rooftop dining room atop the Hotel Cosmopolitan. She twirls a strand of her hair around her index finger while she glances into the eyes of her dinner companion and then looks down and away, then does it again. But he's too nervous to see it as a sign of interest. It's 1962 or thereabouts in the old dining room, and the phrase body language hasn't yet been invented. Wait, now it's 1967, and there's a security guard, an off-duty cop, standing straight up near the elevator watching the crowd for unusual behavior. But it's 1967, so all of the behavior is unusual, all dance-like and languid, colorful, and more so for Officer Matchett because someone spiked his coffee with a small bit of LSD. They're sticking it to the man, and much to his surprise, the spectacle makes him smile. Time gets unreliable sometimes. It changes like the weather, like a storm blowing in, and it can be exciting. Look, it changed again. Now there's an open field. It's night in October. The wind blows and whisks the leaves off a young oak tree that stretches out in all directions, taking all the space at once. There's a crunching sound nearby. It's not clear what that is. It is way before the hotel was built. The air is so clean and crisp it demands deep breathing. And now here's another present moment. The phone is ringing. Tracy Case, the general manager at the Hotel Cosmopolitan, is on another line, so she doesn't answer.
Call on line 2, Miss Chase.
Annie Haney called pleasantly.
It's the news. They've been calling all afternoon.
Take a message.
Tracy shouted back at her assistant in the next room and then resumed her conversation.
My counselor said Brent needs to be more responsible for my feelings.
Hank was just going off duty, clipping off his bow tie when Annie Haney sat down at the bar, fire in her eyes, murder in her heart, and money on her mind.
Hey,
Hank stepped back behind the bar. She delivered the news to Hank that the hotel was about to be poured down. Whoops. She delivered the news to Hank that the hotel was about to be torn down. He poured 2 for him and 1 for her, and Tracy joined them a few minutes later, and that corner of the world took up a complaint against itself.
I haven't even been here long enough to collect unemployment.
Annie groaned.
It took me 8 months to find this lousy job.
maybe you should take some classes, get some marketable skills.
Hank joked.
Christ, I've got a PhD.
I didn't know that.
Tracy said, and perked up.
Of course not. If I admitted it, I'd never get a job in this dying town.
Maybe you should take some classes, get some marketable skills.
Hank said again.
My mission is some rigorous unlearning. So, where can I go to work where I just look out of a top floor window and get paid to drink?
That position has been filled.
Hank admitted.
So I guess I should call a doctor, eh?
Annie made eye contact with Rascal, a mouse who was sitting on the back bar. It was Annie who named him a few weeks back. Rascal gets brave when Annie is around and allows himself to be seen. That is not an easy decision when you have the option not to be seen. He's trying to tell her something.
Annie,
Tracy suddenly seemed sprightly and turned to face her assistant.
would you be able to help me with my resume?
Hank smacked the sides of his head and did a little dance.
Too good. This is too good. I've got to write an article about this.
Oh, you right. Maybe you could help with my resume.
Hank ignored Tracy, already outlining his insider view of the demolition piece in his mind. He asked a question of his own.
Miss Case, who is the old black guy that hangs around in the lobby sometime? I'll bet he's got a story or two.
Ms.
Huh?
It's Ms.
Sorry?
Case, not Miss.
I always say sorry.
Tracy looked in the mirror by the bar, and she pulled her shoulders back, and Hank tried his question again.
The guy in the lobby, is he like a janitor?
You mean that guy, what's his name, that's been here for forever? With the funny cheeks? What is his name?
Annie answered with a disdainful shake of her head.
Brick. His name is Brick. He's head of maintenance.
I need to talk to him.
Hank said, making notes.
Where can I find him?
Sleeping in the lobby, probably.
Tracy said sarcastically.
Or in the maintenance office.
Annie added.
I think he lives there.
Maintenance office? Where's the maintenance office, Miss Case?
I don't know.
Tracy rolled her eyes, annoyed that someone asked her another question that she should be able to answer, but couldn't.
What marketable skills do you have that got you a hotel manager job, Miss Case?
Ms. And my special skill is that I don't ask a lot of questions.
Tripp arrived at the top of the Cosmo about then, singing "We're in the Money" and summoning Hank to the far end of the bar.
Hi, Trip. Everything is in the house. What can I get you?
Tripp said,
Root beer with a dash of vanilla. The usual.
Hey, can I go back to that?
yeah.
Hi, Trip. Everything is on the house. What can I get you?
Tripp said,
Root beer with a dash of vanilla. The usual.
That all? You can have anything.
You know I don't drink alcohol. It's way too slow.
Hank delivered the drink, saying,
I can change your mind.
that was Tripp's cue.
No, but I can change yours.
Tripp took a small package from his pocket containing 3 prime examples of homegrown psilocybin mushrooms. As Hank managed the parcel into his pocket, he reached for his wallet. Tripp restrained him.
My turn to say, on the house. I just made a bundle.
How's that?
You heard Tip Top Tipton's going to tear the place down, right?
I heard it.
Well, man, I own my place on the 23rd floor. I'm going to hold out for some big bucks, man. He can buy the hotel, and my place is just a part of the purchase. But if he wants to tear it down, that's something else entirely. Man like that, money's no object. He'll pay.
Conversation at the bar went round and round, from Tracy's worry to Annie's anger. Hank wandered off. Tripp took the opportunity to shake his head.
People don't dig changes anymore. It's too bad, man. I think Mingus died at a moment when people weren't able to dig the changes anymore.
Annie nodded in agreement, and Tracy tuned them out. Hank wandered off. Tripp said,
He played here, you know, Charles Mingus, in this very room.
there was talk of jazz, smoke-filled rooms, ladies dressed in gowns and men in fine suits gathered in the Cosmopolitan Ballroom. Some of the talk was wistful, some was dismissive. Moving down in the sub-basement, in the dark tunnels, among old crates and cold dripping steam looking for the maintenance office, Hank felt the first mushroom chill, and then he bumped into a giant. The giant was about 6 feet 9 inches tall, derbied and blonde. His eyes glowed in the dark.
They didn't seem to glow.
Hank would write in his notes.
They glowed.
Suddenly feeling the part of the hotel employee, Hank challenged the giant.
Can I help you?
The giant regarded Hank thoughtfully, stared into Hank's eyes until Hank looked away. He drew a deep breath and exhaled slowly, closing his eyes on the exhale, and finally he spoke.
Yes.
Said the giant. At this, Hank was stopped, fresh out of reply.
I'm Hank O'Hare, bar manager of Topo the Cosmos. I'm a manager here.
Nodding and smiling, the giant drew a drumstick from his boot, tapping and scraping along the exposed pipe overhead. He pulled a harmonica from his pocket and drew a breath through the reeds. Music rose with the sound of a sudden high wind, moving through red and golden leaves. Maple and oak and birds taking flight. The instinct of a sky full of birds moving south, turning in like a corkscrew. The giant sketched it into sound and evoked the aroma of coming snow. It was a music that moved slowly into silence.
Thank you.
Said the giant, and walked lightly around Hank down a dim corridor.
Wait, who are you?
Hank called after him.
I'm the amazing Gary, the one-man band. Come visit anytime, Hank. Visit anytime.
And Brick, the maintenance man, snoozed in a threadbare lobby chair, dreaming uneasily until he woke himself up by inhaling a sharp and snorting snore. Yawning awake, he puffed out his saggy cheeks. He yawned and rolled his tongue around in his mouth for exercise, an old habit of a trumpet player. And then he began to worry about his investments, and a flood of financial anxiety took his breath away. Brick owned several properties on the block where he grew up. When he had been a young man with a horn, he played in the house band at the Hotel Cosmopolitan and drew a salary that a young black man could hardly imagine at that time. He saved carefully and invested in real estate in the neighborhood. houses and commercial space. Brick bought and beautified them and rented them out, and his small fortune grew. He gave to Jazz, and Jazz gave it back. He gave it to the neighborhood, and the neighborhood repaid too. And then came rock and roll. And nobody wanted to hear no bebop nor cool. The house band faded away. Gigging in blues bands, he kept playing in local clubs, but that was a guitar sound, trading with keyboards, a sad story up front, and only a handful of notes for Brick to play that fit into chords for the brass section. Jazz might make a comeback someday, but Brick's lip is long gone. Construction of the city bypass split Brick's block of real estate and sent the value down, way down, just in time for the insurance companies to pay a settlement based on lower appraisals when a fire took out half a block, including his house. Brick took the settlement money and begged a maintenance job at the Cosmos so he would have a place to stay, and he swore off all further ambition. But now, those same properties were the vacant lots of a neighborhood undergoing a vigorous regentrification by young professionals, moving back into the city and forcing up the property values and forcing out the longtime residents and causing Brick to worry about how to pay the rising taxes on these properties until he could find an investor who didn't see him as a soft buyer of a hard bargain. Brick was blowing his nose when Hank located him. In his notebook, Hank had written a sentence fragment anticipating the usual writing that describes hotels as ladies. In his notebook, Hank calls the Cosmo
an old whore, a once pretty face that is cracked and fallen and gone mean with age and ill use.
And he hoped to draw some approximation of that quote from the drowsy head of maintenance when he asked him about the hotel.
Hell of a way to treat a lady, huh?
Brick just waved his hand and said,
This Cosmos ain't no lady. It's an old man. Just an old man. Been staying in the wrong neighborhood way too long a time. Wake up coughing every day and looking over his shoulder and worrying. Can't hold his water. He be rumbling and shaking at night and can't wait to die to get loose of all this damn fool stuff he knows about. You know the place is cursed. Yes, it is. All right, folks, show is over, but you don't have to go. This isn't a place you go to get away. It's a place you go to get on board. Feel free to dance. Some dance to remember. Some dance to forget.
OMG, thank you to the Yellow Cab Tavern for hosting the IRL version of Roadside Attraction. YC is a profoundly creative act by our BFFs Mark Jeffers and Tara Moore. Mark is also our host, LOL. Come by for Showcase Thursdays too. It's the best thing going, IMHO. It's a singer-songwriter listening room guided by Windsor Knotts, who is also our musical director, stage manager, sound tech, executive assistant, rhythm guitar player, and the general dog's body at Roadside Attraction. We heard from Sharon Lane, Matt Bayansky, Brian Baumgardner, Marcia Cornwell, and Windsor Knotts, this show's version of the Roadside Hobo Band. Thaddeus Williams from The American Landscape was also here tonight. FWIW, Scott Millsop wrote and produced and edited Roadside Attraction. He was also Timmy Jean. And that was chapter 2 of his novel in progress, The Last Summer Ball at the Cosmos. You heard here at the end, with additional voicing from Matt Bayansky, Molly Millsop, Tara Moore, Mark Jeffers, Bill Mooney, and Rich Hitchcock. Michelle Allen and Bill Mooney were guest poets tonight. Jeff Opp set up the sound in the room and recorded the show. This is Jeff's room. The vibes are so good here. Thank you, Jeff. Brandon Barry is the video producer, director, camera operator, and editor and YouTube guru. TY Brandon. BTW, we're still looking for someone to do audio post-production since Charlie moved to Cincinnati. He AFK, TTYL, Charlie. FYI, I'm Molly Millsop, voice of the 2,000-pound groundhog, and I am AYYLMAO. Roadside Attraction is an AHA production.
Yes, it is. No, we don't.
No, that's it.
No, that's it. We done.
That's it, everybody. Thank you so much.